7 rappers who live in hiding. When you think of a rapper, odds are that you have a very particular image in your mind. You're probably thinking of a guy decked out in designer clothing and expensive jewelry. He's driving a muscle car or custom rap. He's posing for the paparazzi after a studio session recording a new hit album. They're doing interviews, performing in front of giant audiences, and in general just being a larger-than-life persona. But not every rapper is a braggadocious artist who lives for the spotlight. For every 6ix9ine out there, there's another rapper that is living a humble and private life that is rarely talked about in the tabloids. Some artists just prefer to focus on their craft over anything else. There's nothing wrong with having fun with fame, but it's certainly not the only way to be a major player in the rap game. Why would a rapper want to keep their life private? Well, there are plenty of reasons. Maybe they're just naturally antisocial. Maybe they like an air of mystery to hang around their career. Or maybe they just want their music to be taken at face value, completely removed from any bias that their personal life might introduce to it. Regardless of why they do it, these rappers definitely prefer to keep things on the down low. Before we start, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to our channel. Now here are 7 rappers who live secluded lives. Number 7. JayZ. Including JayZ on this list might be a bit of a surprise to you. Isn't he one of the most famous celebrities on the planet? Well, yeah. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't go to great lengths to keep many parts of his life private. He and his wife Beyonce definitely play with their fame when it's appropriate. But JayZ definitely knows that sometimes it's just best to keep personal things personal. Despite the fact that it seems like he and Beyonce are always being photographed together, they have actually kept a good portion of their relationship to themselves throughout the years. In fact, their relationship started off as a secret. The actual year that they started dating is still debated to this day. They started dating way back when Crazy in Love was first released, and that obviously kicked off some rumors. It was a while before they actually went public though. Even their wedding was hugely secretive. They were massive stars at the time of their marriage in 2008, yet it was an incredibly small ceremony. It was almost like they had eloped. They didn't even really release pictures of the wedding to the press until nearly a decade later. It seems like they knew the uproar that the union would cause, so they decided to take a more low-key route. For whatever reasons Jay has for keeping things a bit more private, it seems like it's a good choice. He's not always talking about his personal or business moves, and that has always allowed him to quietly construct an empire that totally transcends rap. I can't criticize that. Number 6. Andre 3000. Andre 3000 is, in almost every way, not your typical rapper. While early Outkast tracks didn't manage to show off Andre's eccentricities, it wasn't long before his outlandish personality really started to show. A record like Aquemini really displayed 3 Stacks as someone with a mind in another galaxy. By the time that Speakerboxxx The Love Below was released, it was clear that he wasn't just another rapper from the South. But it's not just in an artistic sense that Andre 3000 is an atypical rap artist. The way he handles himself shows that he just doesn't really care to play the part of the celebrity all that much. He built an unbeatable legacy with Outkast, yet he only very rarely appears from the shadows to lend verses to modern tracks. Side note, his verses are always amazing when he does decide to rap. Aside from a short Outkast reunion in 2014, he's not really taking to the stage or doing much press. The cool thing about Andre though is that he doesn't do all of this because he's stuck up. A quick look on Twitter will show that he happily poses the chat with any fans that he happens to run into on the street. But don't count on that happening to you anytime soon. The guy is known to be pretty elusive. Keep your eyes peeled though. You might just happen to see him practicing the flute when you're in the airport. You never know. Number 5. Childish Gambino. Some people are born with a calling. Donald Glover, also known as Childish Gambino, was born with several callings. He's the definition of a Renaissance man. He can act, he can write, he can make music, and he can rap. Starting from relatively humble roots in the entertainment industry, Glover just kept working on his craft until he perfected it. He's now one of the most widely recognized names in several different industries, a feat that only a few other people have accomplished before. So why don't we know more about him? It seems that that's a choice he made a long time ago. There are a few tidbits about his life that are out there, but aside from that, fans have been largely left guessing. We know that he has some kids, and we know that he's in a long-term relationship with a woman named Michelle, but we don't even know if they're actually married or not. That's a pretty big thing to keep private. The biggest thing that Childish Gambino does to keep his private life, however, is social media. And by that, I mean his refusal to participate in social media. While other celebrities keep you constantly turned into what they're doing via their Instagram or Twitter accounts, Glover is pretty much always logged out. He tweets once every few months, and his Instagram is completely devoid of posts. That's definitely unusual these days. Number 4. Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar might just be the lyricist of this generation. Sure, there are other rappers that are more popular and that have more hit records, but Kendrick has received more critical praise than most other artists in any genre. Anyone who knows anything about him knows that he is quite private these days. But he's one of the rappers these days who can really get away with that. His music does all the publicity for him. While most people tend to just keep their personal lives private, Kendrick also keeps his personal life a bit secretive as well. The biggest thing that you might notice about him is that it's been almost 4 years since his last album, and he has given a few clues as to when that might change. He has done very few interviews since his last album, and fans are really just guessing at this point as to when the new music might be coming. This isn't really anything new though. 2016's Untitled Unmastered seemingly came out of nowhere too. Aside from the music, Kendrick's personal life is a bit of a mystery. While we knew more about him in the early days of his career, there are a lot of things that we don't know about him these days. He even kept the fact that his fiancée was pregnant a secret for a long time. By the way, are they married yet? I have no clue, but I guess that's sort of the point. Number 3. J. Cole. J. Cole is a lot like Kendrick Lamar in a way. They are both considered two of the best lyricists in modern rap, and they both have fans that are hungry for a new album. J. Cole hasn't been interviewed in a while, but he made his stance on fame pretty clear in one of his last interviews back in 2018. He stated bluntly, "I don't live my life like a celebrity." And he's right. Cole used to record hit songs and rock gold chains, but he's just like you or me these days. He lives humbly as a way to get as far away from his celebrity status as possible. It's clear in something as simple as his clothing that Cole doesn't think he's better or bigger than the rest of us. And that's definitely something that's refreshing these days. J. Cole is also a lot like Childish Gambino in the sense that he doesn't really take part in social media. He has actively spoken out against celebrity worship, and he thinks that constantly posting on Twitter would be similar to encouraging people to worship his opinions. Whether we do get to hear about his personal life, there are always some surprises. Remember when it was revealed that he was going to try out for the NBA? Yeah, that came out of nowhere. He makes his thoughts clear in his music and in his actions. And that's about all we get from Cole, although at this time we aren't really getting much music either. Hopefully that will change soon. Number 2. MF Doom. One of the most unpredictable rappers to ever do it. MF Doom was an absolute legend in the underground rap world throughout his entire career. Someone that completely spoke through their music. The world definitely lost one of rap's most unique talents when it was announced that Doom had passed away. But that one fact there underscores just how secretive Doom was. We didn't even know that Doom had died until several months after his death. He kept up a reclusive persona even after he had passed. MF Doom's career is basically defined by his supervillain persona. When you think of Doom, you think of the mask. Even Playboy Cardi gave a shout out to Doom's mask on Whole Lotta Red. The mask that Doom wore allowed him to completely dodge the fact that he was a celebrity. His identity was obscured, and his music was the only thing that his audience had to absorb. They didn't need to worry about anything else. But Doom played with secrecy beyond just wearing the mask. It's often said that fans would show up to Doom concerts only to quickly realize that it was an imposter standing on stage. Rumors would constantly swirl around his career and personal life, and little was really known about him unless he decided to share it. And that only happened rarely. The mask acted as a conduit for his secrecy, but Doom lived a secretive life even beyond the mask. Luckily for Doom, he didn't need to prop his career up with details about his personal life. His revolutionary bars more than speak for themselves. Number 1. Eminem. If there was ever an archetypal example of a rapper who keeps their personal life personal, it's Eminem. Despite being in the rap game for more than 2 decades, Eminem has managed to keep his career and his real life completely separate from one another. Sure, we've learned a bit about his family and his life through his songs, but he has completely refused to play the celebrity game, and people love him for it. Eminem stands as an example that a celebrity can just let their work do all the talking for them. His most recent album dropped out of nowhere. He hardly ever does interviews, and he definitely doesn't ever take to social media to drop pics of him and his family on vacation. His music tends to be incendiary and controversial, completely removing the need for him to promote himself. And he's enough of an establishment in rap at this point that doing the whole press thing just isn't necessary. You can look around the internet all you'd like for information about Eminem, but there really isn't much. What is out there has just slowly leaked out over the years. M isn't the type to just jump in front of the paparazzi to let them know what he's doing. He's focused on the music, and his fans prefer it that way. So which of these rappers do you think leads the most secretive life? What rappers did we miss? Let me know in the comments. And before you leave, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel.